Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of the Age of Darkness, where we just adopt puppies, and that's the whole game. It's not dark
and
at
know that
all.
men that think women can't use swords are bad in bed.
Yeah, that's why we don't have any of this. We don't have any. There's no women with
Anyway.
swords. We were talking about The Witcher previously, and women can't use swords. Quote me on
Swords
it.
have merkins?
Every time.
How do I restart a session? Anyway, this is it. That's it. The end. This is Age of Darkness. We are here again to do this, I guess. I don't know. If you guys want to support whatever this shit show is, please go check us out on Patreon. If you want to talk about this show, hit us up on the Discord. And most importantly, if you guys want to support these wonderful, amazing, beautiful streamers and Johnny, you can do so by donating to the bar down below. It serves two functions. One, when it fills, Johnny gets to do whatever the hell he wants to us. And more importantly, every dollar goes back to these wonderful players. That being said, I will turn things over to Johnny to take us into the world of Thra.
Okay, let's do this. Previously on Age of Darkness. The world of Thra continues to be out of balance. The Gelflings, once the willing servants of the Skeksis, have rebelled against the self-proclaimed lords of Thra. A full trine after their victory at the second battle of Stone in the Wood, the Madras of all the Gelfling clans have gathered to take the next steps in their freedom. But before the gathering can begin, word comes in that the Sprighton clan have received mysterious attacks in a remote village. A group of Gelfling have been dispatched to investigate. The group travels down the Black River to the Sprighton Plains, the lands of the Sprighton clan. Moving quickly through Sammy Thicket, the main village of the clan, the group finds themselves traveling through the farmlands of the plains as they journey to this remote farming village. As the village comes into view, they realize something is wrong. There's no smoke from the fires burning in the hearths of the dwellings. There are no farmers heading out to tend their fields, no beast of burden pulling carts, no children playing, just silence. Nock, of the Deucin clan, takes a moment and listens to the Song of Thra. As he attempts to hear the rhythm of the world, all that he hears instead is dissonance, and he gets a terrible vision. A purple cloud consuming the village, where the lights of the lives of the Gelflings are taken away to the sound of chittering. When the vision finally fades, Nock is left with a lingering feeling of dissonance. Alua of the Sifa clan, Toll of the Stonewood clan, and Velfa of the Vapra clan begin to investigate the circumstances of the quiet village. What they find is unsettling. There are no Gelflings in the village. However, there is evidence of an attack of some kind and that the Arathim are involved. While they are focusing on the dwellings, Nock again listens to the Song of Thra and speaks with two Fizgigs who are quarreling over a piece of meat. The Fizgigs, named Ruth and Neb, confirm that there was an attack days ago. When they finally investigate in the inside of one of the dwellings, they find a dream etching on the ground. This one held a terrible vision. A Gelfling mother cares for her child, and when she is attacked mysteriously. In another hut, another etching conveys the vision of a male Gelfling watching his wife being taken in front of his eyes before he is taken too. The group decides that they should get back to Sammy Thicket and let the Council of Madras know what they have found. As they make their way to leave the Gelfling village, Nock hears a noise coming from a chest in a corner. When he looks inside, he finds a podling attempting to hide from the group as we fade in. So, setting the scene again, Nock, you heard this sort of like shaking sound coming from the chest. When you looked over, you saw that the lid was kind of shaking a little bit. It was just kind of like, kind of being held, but there was definitely something that was shaking it. And so as you opened it, as you pulled it open, you can see that there is a podling who is holding on to the lid, and he just kind of is lifted up with the lid, and he's just kind of staring at you, in the face, and his eyes are incredibly wide.
It seems we have a survivor. Does anyone speak Podling?
At that, he says, "Otto, Guido, go, run!" And he drops. And as he drops, he begins to jump out of the chest.
We should probably catch him.
Buddy.
Do catch him.
I don't speak Podling. Does anyone else speak Podling?
I speak a little bit of Podling.
Louder. I'm gonna jump out, run, start hitting. With my hands in the air, trying to show him I'm not gonna hurt him.
I think that means we are friends and we just want to know what's going on. I think.
So as the two of you are trying, one of you is trying to just like kind of like get his attention and wave, and the other is trying to, you know, remember what little podling you know. He lands outside of the chest because he jumps and like he's really just like sort of swift, and he lands with his feet onto the wood floor, and he kind of looks up at you. And podlings are somewhere between 1.5 and 2 feet tall, and then he looks to be on the taller side. He kind of looks up at you, and you're, I'm assuming, average size gelfling, so you're about 3.5 feet tall. He kind of looks up and then looks over to Alua as she's just kind of, you know, waving her hands and trying to say friend. And he kind of looks and he begins to dart, and he tries to zig and zag through, you know, the group and head for the door.
Can I catch him?
You are more than welcome to try.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna try to catch him. I'm gonna try to snatch his ass up.
So are you just like trying to do like a straight up grapple, or maybe just kind of like, you know, reach out and kind of grab?
Yeah, I mean,
kind of
he's small and I'm big. It's like a toddler. I'm just gonna snatch him up.
So is there anything specific you think you're skilled in to be able to do this, or is this just gonna be like a straight up speed roll of some kind?
I'm skilled at climbing, swimming, jumping, and balancing. So no. None of those things apply.
Wait, say that.
I said I'm skilled at climbing, jumping, swimming, and balancing. So no, none of those apply.
I mean, you know, jumping onto him, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that's what that means.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a. You know what? I am trained in initiative, so I'm quick on my feet.
You're fast. That's
there you
good.
go.
I think I'm also trained in initiative. I am.
I am as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are we treating this arcade? So are we treating this as a situation where you're actually objectively trying to subdue this particular thing, this podling, or are you just trying to just before anything gets worse, just kind of grabbing for him?
I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
way,
Yeah,
so
I'm not
he
trying to
doesn't
knock him
leave
out. I'm just trying to
in a
like
non-threatening
pick him
way.
up and hold him.
Velva's gonna like try to speak up while all this is going on. Maybe we, you know, don't try to chase him. You might scare him more. What if we, you know, offer him something nice and you know, maybe he'll come out. I'd be pretty scared if
bag for some sort of thing from one of our ration packs, like a biscuit, probably a dry biscuit.
All right,
Holds it
I'm
out.
going to give you. Say, go ahead again.
It holds out the biscuit.
All right, I'm going to need some sort of. I'm going to need some sort of skill check here before we actually talk about initiative, because each of you are doing something interesting and different besides Knock. Well, so Knock hasn't said anything since he jumped out of the chest, but each of you are doing something interesting and different that I think applies in at least either distracting or catching this particular podling. So I think since Toll is the one who is trying to make the attempt, you should make the roll, but I definitely think that you get an assist from at least Alua and possibly Velfa as well in the way
Biscuit
that she's...
assist.
Okay, so
do that.
What difficulty is this check?
It's going to be a 4.
It's going to be a 4. Okay, I'm going to say we just
Very
hit
wily.
the goal. I'm going to say this is a speed check, and I'm going to do it at difficulty 4, and you can only get 1 asset, so I'm going to add 1 asset. Oh, I guess I can get 2 assets, right? So 2 assets for helping?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then roll. I rolled a 3 and failed.
Big oof.
That's what he says. As I leap towards him and miss as he dodges out of the way. He's this big oof.
So describe to me what this action actually is. Are you actually leaping at him, or are you just kind of reaching out and grabbing him?
Yeah, I think that's what happens.
That,
It's like I'm kind of like juking him back and forth, puppet style, as he's running around, and then he dodges. He goes one direction, and I leap, and then at the last second, he dodges the opposite direction, and I just eat it. I just whiff.
So the nature of the podling is that when he's not scared, he's happy and laughing. And as he sort of jukes one way, and you make that attempt, and you roll a different way, he kind of turns for just a second as he sees you kind of splayed out, and he starts to laugh, giving you the rest of you a moment to actually do something else. Because as he's laughing, he starts to smell the biscuit that Alua was kind of holding out, giving you another moment to actually take some sort of action. But you can see that he's backing up a little bit, moving towards the door.
She's gonna poke at Nox. Say the friend word again. I don't remember it. She's offering biscuit.
Yeah, and as they're doing that, Vilfa's also kind of leaned down on her knees, kind of making herself small and kind of more approachable as well by them.
All right. So I need some sort of a social role of some kind here to kind of convince him to not take off, because he's still kind of partying back as you all are trying to engage him at the same time. He's getting incredibly frightful.
I'm still just half speaking, podling at him.
All right. Well, you could do that with an assist from you do 2 assets based on what both Velfa and Alua are doing as well, and make that some sort of social thing. Or, I mean, you were able to talk to Fizzgigs. So, I mean, if you really want to try
I'm
the
not
whole
using
song
magic right now. I'm just trying to talk.
Are you sure? I would really love it if you use magic right now.
No, I just want to. I took some podling back in Gelfling High School.
2 years? Did you at least get a C average in that?
Yeah,
class?
exactly.
Back in the Gelf Academy.
Back in the Gelf Academy.
Jesus Christ.
No, I mean, Nock is a traveler, right? So I think he tries to learn languages and whatnot. I'll give it a try if you want me to. But I do have an inability at charm, persuasion, and deception.
Are you trying to charm or persuade him, or are you just saying hello? So there's a difference between communication and convince, or in some way otherwise gain a benefit from the situation.
I mean, I'm trying to convince him not to run away from us anymore.
All right, well then you're going to have that disability then.
But I do have 2 assets, right?
You do have 2 assets.
What's the difficulty?
In this social situation, hold on just a second. I wasn't expecting the social situation right away. It's going to be...
What, were you expecting us to murder this podling, Johnny?
No, of course I am. You're a murder hobo clan. I mean, come on.
It's
no,
the dark
rude.
crystal, guys.
Seriously, geez. So it is also going to be a difficulty 4.
Oh, difficulty 4. Awesome. Okay, so we got 2 assets. And then... All right. Remind me again exactly how effort works. Edge is the number of effort you can spend?
No, effort is the number of effort you can spend. What are you're spending? You're spending intellect pool right now. Do you have an edge in intellect?
I'm sorry?
Do you have an edge in intellect?
I have 1 edge in intellect.
So when you spend 3 points to spend an effort, you reduce that by the number of edge you have.
By 1. So yes. I only have to spend.
So it's going to cost you 2.
All right. I will not do that for right now. I just
You're welcome to
make
if you like.
I forgot that I spent some of my intellect pool last session and have not had a chance to recover it.
Yeah,
so I'm going to hold
We
off.
used it to Dreamfest.
I did that as effort instead of assets.
It's all the same.
One time. I know I'm taking forever.
It's all the same.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
take your time. Okay. It's okay. We're good. We're
assets 2. Nope.
You did the same thing.
Sorry, team.
All
I
right.
rolled a 2.
I'm gonna look around the room and see that the boys are both
Inept.
not doing well. So I'm gonna take a page out of Elfa's book and just sit down and put the biscuit away from me. and,
All right.
and see if that does anything.
He kind of as Nock is just kind of like trying to convince him, and he kind of looks at Nock at one point when Nock is trying to say, just stay or friend or hello or whatever. He kind of looks at him and he just kind of gets like this real sort of like mad and angry kind of look, and he starts to turn, just to move out, and then he smells the biscuit again, and he kind of looks down, and he looks at you, Alua, and he looks down, and you can see that he's definitely hungry, but he's very cautious about what's happening next, because he realizes he's got an opportunity to escape. And so he kind of looks forward a little bit and inches a little bit, watching all of you. Velfa and Alua are sort of sitting on the ground, just kind of being patient. What is Nock and Toll doing while this is happening?
Laying on the ground like a tool. Yeah, that's it. He's not a talking person. He just kind of rolls over to see what's happening, and he like slowly makes his way to his feet. And he doesn't speak Podling.
I will. This time, I will. I'm just gonna try to speak to him with Thra music to calm the creature. Basically, like when like Nock tries to speak to him and like tell him in words that they're like not a threat, it didn't work. So now he's just gonna try to like make this thing feel with the the power of the land. Let Thra tell him that that they're not a threat, that we're the good guys.
Okay. So he's kind of looking around and kind of taking in the situation. He looks from Velfa to Alua to Velfa, and as you start to do whatever it is that you're doing to sort of tap into the Song of Thra, you can see that he's hesitant because he hears you in some way.
Well, yeah, I think because we talked about this is like part of like Nock's music, right? So he like starts playing his little like horn clarinet thing, and starts doing this kind of goofy dance. I think he plays something like very like light and like goofy, and it's like trying to just make it very clear that they are friends. They're not a threat. We're it's all good. Everything is happy.
All right. He's still kind of hesitant as you're beginning to do that, and he's getting lulled into it a little bit. So give me a roll of some kind. What ability are you going to use here?
I have an ability called Music of Thra.
Okay.
Which means I'm trained in tasks involving identifying or understanding the music of Thra. But I also have that's probably the closest thing I have. That's what I use to talk to the Fizzgigs, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, then give me a roll of some kind.
All right. Is it difficult? Right? Because I can roll that skill if that skill is appropriate.
Skill is appropriate. Go ahead and roll it. Difficulty is going to be 4 again.
All right. Come on. Yes. I rolled a 12.
All right. So as you're moving, you're beginning to play the music. Alua, you see that the podling is kind of inching forward, and as Nock is beginning to play, you see that he's the disposition of the podling begins to shift, as if he's like a little lighter on his feet and sort of dancing his way towards the biscuit. And it's not really clear what's going on because his eyes are also a little cloudy as this is beginning to happen. And for Nock, what you hear next is the the song sort of becoming louder as a lord of a sort of a cacophony, and you hear the dissonance in the background, but it's much quieter at this moment as you hear sort of the thrumming rhythm of Thra. And as that is happening, you also hear the podling mumbling under his breath. Nothing anybody else can actually hear at this moment except for you, but you are so tuned in, you hear, oh, hungry, so hungry. Oh, biscuit and go, hungry. And he's just, he's kind of inching forward, but he's just almost lulled by it all. And Velfa, as you're kind of watching all this sort of happen, just, sitting next to Alua, you notice that there's like star-like quality in the Gelfling's eyes, as if he's almost hypnotized just a little bit. What are you doing here, guys?
I'm gonna put my backpack like not 100% between me and the Gelfling, but more like, or not Gelfling, Podling. Not like to look like I'm protecting myself, but to like, hey, I'm doing a thing. I'm letting you see I'm doing a thing, and reach in for a bit of water to put with the biscuit, like a little canteen of some sort.
And with that knock, you hear, thirsty, so thirsty, drink and go, thirsty. Oh, brew, Miss Brew, thirsty.
Yeah, Nak is just gonna continue playing, and like at some point, like he'll like say to the group, I believe he wants to take the food and drink and go. Then just starts playing again.
I think we kind of need him here.
Stay? Help? Yeah, help? Protect?
Wait, can you talk, Podling? Because I can hear you.
I don't. Sometimes they understand us.
Okay.
It depends on the Podling. I don't know this one.
Velfa kind of like holds out her hands, and she kind of like says like what you do with like with a dog, She's like, friend.
So as each of you are kind of like doing these different things, you hear the Podlings not mumbling under his breath at first. Like things like that it giddy brew that it go. But for what Nock hears is drink, brew, Miss Brew, drink, go, get food, go. But friend, and then there's a question mark. And as Velfa is trying to, kind of like reach out a little bit, the Podling kind of looks over, and Nock, you hear, so tired, friend, scared, friend. And Velfa, the Podling is sort of slowly moving towards you and reaches out a hand and kind of looks over at Alua and kind of reaches out her, the hand, and just like begins to put, its hand in yours just for a second. And you feel it like grab on tight, and then there's like this, it relaxes. And it looks over at Alua and says, food?
Alua will nod.
And it, at that, snaps out of this sort of like lull of everything else. And the Song of Thra, begins to fade for you, Nock, as it runs and grabs the food and runs across the room and begins to eat. But it's staring at the four of you intently. And it's just like, it takes a bite of the biscuit and it's chewing. And as it's chewing, it's just kind of looking at the door, and then looking at the four of you. I'm looking at the door, and then looking at the four of you as it takes another bite. And you hear the word friend with a question mark implied.
Toll, why don't you sit down? See, that helps him relax. Maybe we can get something out of this thing.
Oh, yeah. And he like scrapes a chair over and sits down on the chair.
Because he's not a peasant like the rest of us.
I was just laying on the floor. I know how dirty it is. Okay.
Velfa, like as it scurries away, and hears him say like friend, and she like reassuringly to him goes, friend, safe. and just kind of watches him, like waiting to see like what's gonna happen. She doesn't want to startle him.
As Toll sits down and you continue to reassure, and Velfa continues to reassure him, his back against the wall, he begins to slowly slide down and, just begin to sit with his back at the door, still occasionally looking at the, out, but not making a move anymore as he continues to eat the biscuit. And he kind of looks at the four of you and pauses for a second, takes his hand and says, "Tog." And then he starts with this whole just bursting of, information that just all kind of comes out, and you hear a couple things: food, hunger, sons, trine, tog, and then just gets silent.
In his chatterbox diatribe, Toll kind of just leans over to Velfa and just says, Tell it we'll take it to safety.
Yeah, we could take him with us.
Yeah, we're going back to that town.
I'm sure someone speaks Podling better than I do there.
Probably. So Velfa kind of like leans forward and like puts on nice, trying to be charming as much as she possibly can. Do you or come with safety, more food, help?
Alua will take out the rest of that particular ration, have like a little bit of jerky, maybe something sweet in it, and she'll set down the packet and kind of push it towards him. More safe, kind of point to us and then out.
As the four of you are trying to interact in some way to convince him to come with you, he looks he understands the words that you're saying and says, "Tog, no, Ido, Podling, do village, food, Podling, food. Go."
Oh, Podlings are not food; they are friends.
No. I think he's trying to say that there's a village nearby. We're not going. No,
Alua just can't help it. She's laughing.
Jesus.
Velvet tries to like make eye contact with the podling. Again, is there a podling village near here?
Yes,
Family
village.
near here.
Ito, has food, village food. And he starts to rub his tummy. Like he's just like really beginning to kind of like village.
I know we need to get back to the town, but maybe we could get more information before going there if we go to this village first.
Yeah, or it was attacked as well, and we could find out.
Investigate.
Yeah. With while we're communicating now, this will be fine. Alua's just lost it at this point. She's like, "This is fine."
Well, when you keep referring to podlings as food, what do you expect?
I mean, it kind of understands a little bit.
Show us?
Yeah. How would, and Velfa looks again, would you show us? We help. Podling Village?
Alua would make sure the path to the door is open and say.
Tog looks at Velfa, and he's kind of sizing her up in respect to trust. And he says, "Hes, Hero, sword, swing. Hero, Podling Village." And he slowly begins to stand up, walks over, grabs the jerky, and starts waving. "Hurry, go. Eso Edie."
Oh.
Velfa gets up.
Puts her backpack back on. And
Did he just ask for a sword?
maybe he's talking about you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or has swords? I don't know.
We're adventure. Come on, guys. She stands up and starts following along behind. Just
Yes, let's go on an adventure.
So as the four of you,
We're all gonna die.
as the four of you kind of stand up, he immediately jumps back a little bit just uncertain because of your size and because of what he's seeing, and he kind of looks around, and he backs towards the door, and like runs out, and then kind of looks back in. Go.
Together?
Yeah. Together. Follow.
Huh?
Yes, I go. Come.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
They're dead. Going.
So as the four of you kind of step outside, it's now about midday, and the three brothers, the three sons, are actually about in the middle, basically at the height of their sort of like crawl through the sky during the day, and the area is now a little bit warmer than the time that you've been sort of spending inside. And as the light is really just sort of like playing across the entire area, now that you know that what you were looking for in respect to tracks and all of the tracking that you did, you see that there are the larger sort of like pitted Aratham tracks all over the place. And you're seeing tracks also of things sliding alongside some of them, and you're able to kind of get a bigger sense of it. As you see Tog just kind of look around, kind of come, he starts to head towards the south. Toll, something catches your eye about the tracks, and you're kind of like able to kind of step back for a second as Tog is like distant from you, but like continuing to kind of look back and continuing to wave. As you're kind of all taking this in, you realize that the tracks are heading to the north and to the east.
What is north and east?
A couple of things.
Let's go to the map.
So there appears to be sort of a mountain range that particular direction that sort of connects with the Sprighton Plains, and on the other side of that is one small part of the Crystal Sea, the large desert that sort of predominates the western side of Thra, that actually kind of crawls to and toward the Black River. So that over these mountains are essentially the Crystal Sea, and then beyond that is the Dark Wood.
So we're south of Sammy Thicket, right?
You are basically, as I'm going to ping it on the map, you are basically right here.
Okay.
And the direction that they're heading is sort of like this direction, north of Sammy Thicket.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, we needed to get to the Mystic Valley, or
we are here.
So you don't know that that's actually there. That's not a mark.
Okay, got it.
So the podling is heading towards the south,
and the what do you call it? Are pointing this way.
The tracks are pointing to north of Sammy Thicket, basically.
And you said they were going east. Oh, northeast.
Northeast.
I get you. Okay. So the tracks are not going towards the village.
No.
Towards the Podling village.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Toll would kind of make that known. I think the Podling might be safe. There's no... The tracks lead north. They lead back towards Stone in the Wood. They don't lead the direction we're going. So do we continue, or do we just let the Podling go?
We told it we would go, and we might be able to get more information about what's happening. Maybe they saw something.
Oh, maybe he saw something, and someone there can speak properly.
Yeah, maybe there will be a podling there that understands us.
Hopefully.
I think it's worth us going, even if it takes us a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
The tracks are not going anywhere. The podling is.
It's true.
That is true.
Come on, let's go. And she grabs and like just starts
like,
just come on. Fine.
Yeah, Toll starts to follow at Velfa's encouragement. He starts to follow as well. Yeah, no. It makes the most sense.
I have a logistical question.
Oh, God.
I forgot from last week. I forgot in my notes. Upon whose shoulder is Ruth riding, and upon whose shoulder is Neb riding?
Velfa and Nock, I think.
So,
But who's got who? Who's got who?
I think Velfa has Root?
Okay.
Yes.
Knock is not gonna do anything to make these things stay with them. If they are like hanging out with him, then that's great and fine, and he's like gonna like totally allow them to like have him as a perch, but he's not gonna like place them on his shoulder or anything like that.
Although if I put one on his shoulder last.
Yeah. That
Right,
that was
exactly.
placed upon you.
Yeah, so as long as it doesn't leave, then it will just stay there. But he very much treats them like people or while they're like he treats them like individuals. Like he'll talk to them, but if they don't like want to do something, he's gonna be like, all right, see you guys later, have fun.
So Velfa just begins to kind of like take off after Tog, and immediately as she starts walking forward, Ruth kind of turns around and starts going, and you hear at your ear knock a bark in return, and then like Neb kind of turns and butts your head a little bit with its head, and then turns and goes, and then butts you again, trying to convince you to actually go.
To go with the podling or to go with
To follow
the
Ruth.
tracks?
To follow Ruth.
This is why
Not
I said
Navelfa.
they're so loud. Anything
We're
could
gonna
be,
die. Alua looks at Toll and just
Anything
keeps
could
walking.
be out here in the forest. And just.
Can I do an assessing danger roll once we start down this path?
You are more than welcome to do that, yes.
The danger is toll.
The danger.
I'm also trained in assessing danger. I'm going to assist you on that.
What difficulty would you like that at, sir?
Well, okay, so let me get this. Let me get an understanding of what you're trying to do here. Is this just something that's are you like trying to get a general assessment, or are you trying to figure out something very specific?
I would say just general assessment. Like, I see where the podling's headed, but I also want to look on the sides of where he's headed. If the trail is clear enough, is he following a trail? Are we just following him into a thicket?
Yeah, make sure we didn't miss some of these tracks.
So
checking the ground.
This is actually going to be really totally straightforward. So it's going to be difficulty 2.
Okay.
Then you just tell her, Johnny. She's trained in assessing danger, and I'm assisting her, so it makes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You're right. You're absolutely right. So because of that, so you watch this Tog is kind of moving on, and you see the interaction between Nock's Neb on his shoulder and Ruth, who's on Velfa's shoulder, as Velfa's beginning to kind of head off, and you're kind of taking this all in and kind of looking around. You realize that he's heading down on what would be sort of a wooden, a dirt path that looks well tread, and there are tracks specifically that look like they have cartwheels, sort of grooves, and you see that beasts of burden have walked here in the past, although there are not fresh tracks on the dirt path.
Okay.
And that the sort of the grass around this particular path is a little bit, sort of dead, but that's because of the sort of the wear of the road and people sort of stepping on it. And you can see that this path sort of like winds its way down a number of miles to the south, as you can see it through different farmlands. And as you're kind of just taking it in, there's, other than the fact that it's a little silent, there isn't like the sounds of not just like beasts of burden, but normal farm animals, but there actually are no sort of like natural sort of sounds. It's a very quiet setting. That's about the only thing that you really kind of get from that. So
okay, good then.
Yeah, heading on down the trail.
I think there's that like weird montage of both Alua and Toll are kind of like peering around, and they both like, and they continue.
I see what you're doing, bro. I see that you're doing it too. Cool.
Great job. And they just continue down the path. Yeah, so we're gonna follow this guy.
All right. So as you're kind of like following the podling around, he always keeps a distance at first. Like he's really aggressive and eager to get going. He kind of runs forward, and after a certain point kind of looks back, and you see that he's still eating on the jerky, and kind of looks and, runs forward even more. And then you hear this sort of weird sound, like a calling sound, sort of coming off the distance from the west, across the plains, through some of the fields. And you hear light sort of thumping, rhythmic thumping coming from that direction. And the podling kind of like, looks around, and then he jumps behind a rock and kind of hides as the thumping and the calling gets louder.
What does it sound like?
It sounds like a land strider.
All the way over here?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the only people I know to ride Landstriders are Gelflings and Podlings, right? I've never seen
Podlings poorly attempt to ride.
Right, but I've never seen. I mean, I know the Skeksis are in hiding, but I've never seen a Skeksi on a Landstrider.
And they mostly come from Nox Village area, right?
Yeah, what direction are they coming from?
The Landstriders are coming from the west. You can hear the calling, like you can hear the familiar sort of like rhythm of their hooves sort of hitting the ground, but you can't see them yet. It's really kind of strange.
So
you can hear them.
Thinking of something else.
They're coming from like the Sprighton Plains, then, like deep.
Yeah, they're coming from deep in the Sprighton Plains, and the sort of the area that you're in of the Sprighton Plains is sort of like rolling hills. So it's not surprising you can't see incredibly far.
Yeah.
But you actually can't see them yet.
Toll's gonna scamper up on top of the stone that the podling hid behind, and pull out his crossbow, and just like have it ready. But like he's gonna get to a higher ground and try to see if he can see these things coming for them.
So what you see as you kind of get up, you're able to kind of see over the rise of the next hill, and you can see that like there's like a deep sort of bowl of a gentle like valley, and you can see Landstriders running across, but they are running at a breakneck pace. These are the kinds of things that even trained Landstriders would only do for a short period of time. Like the Gelflings wouldn't push them the way that these are being pushed. But the noises that are coming from these four, and there's four of them, as they're kind of like calling and sort of roaring, and then you can see that they're just kind of pushing, and they're pushing towards your direction, but not directly at you.
Can I see a rider?
There are no riders on them.
Yeah, I think Toll stays exactly where he is, and he looks down, still holding the crossbow, and he says, "Get behind something, it's a stampede." And he kind of like hunkers down on this rock.
Okay.
Vilfa runs and is like getting behind where the podling was, behind this big rock, and kind of like trying to be as quickly as possible and not fall.
Yeah.
She's trying to scramble off the road.
Definitely gonna try to find a spot to get under and hide so I don't get trampled.
I would climb up the rock as well, because I'm trained in that, and pull out my fucking rope and drop it down in case anybody else wants to try to climb the rope.
Yeah.
I will try to climb the rope.
Okay.
All right. So as you all are kind of getting prepared, you can see them. You can see them beginning to sort of come up sort of the gentle incline, and then they kind of disappear from your second, your vision, and then they come barreling over. And as they do, there's four of them, and they're just going faster and faster. Give me some sort of perception, or some sort of skill that takes in detail.
Sure.
All of you are welcome to do this.
What was this skill? Attention to detail?
Any type of skill roll or ability that gives you something about like the attention to detail or perception.
I've got perception.
Perception will work. Anything else that kind of like allows you to kind of take in all the details will really help here.
Unless there's magic or weird Thra mystical bullshit, I got nothing.
I have assessing danger. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you thought assessing danger would be better.
A danger sense.
I think, is that an ability, or does that just give you the ability to sense danger?
A special ability.
What does it do?
It says the difficulty of your initiative roll is reduced by 1 step.
Okay, so that means you're trained in
Right.
initiative. Johnny, what's the difficulty?
Difficulty is going to be 3.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna go with perception because I know he's on top of assessing the danger. He's already there.
So I hate mechanics talk, but everyone can roll in this. It's just an intellect roll. If you don't have an appropriate skill, any kind of like mental or visual acuity is usually an intellect roll. And on the top left of your thing, it'll say intellect. That's actually clickable, and you can roll that way.
Okay.
No effort, no assets. I succeed with a 7.
I succeed.
Okay. Are the only the two of you rolling, or are Nock and Veltha rolling as well?
I clicked it, but it.
It should pop up on the
I
actual
didn't-
Roll
I
20
didn't have
screen and
anything.
ask you
Okay.
for
Yeah.
additional information.
And what's the difficulty?
3.
Difficulty's 3.
I didn't have anything to roll, so.
And then if it asks you for effort, Kitty, put 0. Oh, damn. See, that's why we roll sometimes.
Yes, that's exactly why you roll sometimes.
Can I be holding the podling?
Yeah, so I think Velfi is gonna like try to like offer to pick up the podling and kind of hold him up to be picked up. Maybe
I'll
on
hold the
top,
podling.
safer. We can allow that. Them to.
I'll hold him and let him know
All right,
it's
so
okay.
you basically the minor effect of what you're doing is you're going to be able to help the podling get to safety and make him feel secure. So that's
I'm gonna put
essentially
him on top of my backpack. Actually,
okay.
hold the
All right.
pole close to me and put him on top of my backpack,
So
so he doesn't
three
have
of
a
you-
pole up his butt.
I mean, maybe some podlings like that. I'm not going to judge a podling and his kinks.
Oh
We're
my.
We're not here to pod shame.
Yeah, this is not 50 Shades of Podling though.
God damn it!
Good night, everybody. That's the show.
No,
Oh god.
I don't want to know about podlings.
That's next week's title.
No.
I don't want to.
The title of this show was supposed to be the podling. It was supposed to be all things podling. So I mean, come on. I mean, we can get there if you really want to.
That's one thing too many.
All right. So the three of you kind of like jump, are kind of situated on this rock and kind of like taking a look. And what you see is really just sort of unsettling. Based on what you saw in the vision, one of the things that you saw in the second sort of vision, which was the husband sort of lying, the husband Gelfling lying on his side, watching his wife getting taken, and then he himself getting taken. One of the details that you saw was that there were two purple eyes sort of staring, in the direction through the window after the sisters, the moons were basically hidden by, something that was shadowing it. You saw these purple eyes.
Mhm.
As you're kind of looking at these striders, as they're these lancers, as they're running by, and you can smell the sort of sweat and the sort of nature of them, as that they're so worked up. But one of the details that you catch is you take in the sort of the heads of these striders, and you see that their eyes are glowing purple. And that their mouths, there's like drool and slobber just sort of coming off as if they have rabies, but there's just like this grossness going on around their mouth from all this sort of slobber, and the eyes are glowing a bright purple.
How big
as
is
they-
this rock that everybody's on except for Velfa?
It's a reasonably sized rock, given that everybody started climbing on it. It was going to be a much smaller podling sized rock, but the fact that everybody started using it as a sort of thing, it's kind of a pretty big boulder.
So like compared to the height of the Landstriders that are coming past.
The Landstriders are probably another good 6 or 7 feet taller, because they're
yeah,
on
they're
average
huge.
they're about 15 to 20 feet. So it's a pretty big rock.
Okay, so they're not like at eye level, and like them up on the rock are like. All right,
No.
so Velfa does become like quite a bit more kind of scared, since she is the only one down here now by herself and not up on this rock that is seemingly safe for the others. But she is like, she's looking at these, and she's got, guys, and she kind of starts looking around, a little panicky for like the rope. That
Why are you
dropped-
alone down there?
I had to help the pod thing. I put him up, and you guys jumped without me.
Grab the rope.
so-
Told
She goes to grab the rope, and can I roll for her to try to start climbing up this rope to get on the rock?
And while that's going on, we'd be able to recognize what's the illness? What's the word?
The darkening.
The darkening. Would we be able to recognize that?
Yes, you would have experience with the fact that these creatures have been affected by the darkening.
They got the purpley eyes.
And we're not well versed on curing them. I'm gonna elbow Toll and his crossbow and kind of give him a like, should we take care of this while I'm while I try to get her up?
So Velfa, with Alua's help, you're definitely going to be able to just get up onto the rock without any type of roll of any kind. So she's able to kind of just grab and kind of hold on to you as you're doing this.
Yay for rope.
The Lance Riders are continuing to make their noise, and they're just kind of calling, and it's this sort of massive, sort of overwhelming sort of sound, and the sound of their hooves sort of hitting the ground, and they're just like, they're moving at breakneck pace. They are moving faster. And as you're kind of like watching and, paying attention to it, that's when you hear the rustling coming from the direction that they were moving through sort of the tall sort of like wheat fields kind of like look of the rolling hills here, as you see something kind of barrel on after them, and it moves across the path very quickly, and you see what is known as a rikita, and it is this sort of quadruped, sort of like weird looking creature, not scaly, but not like, it's got like skin, and it's got beady eyes, and it looks like sort of like a saber-toothed tiger in its face, because it's got like these long claws, and it's just barreling after them. And you can see as it's just like moving past them, it's chasing the Lance Riders down.
I have so many questions.
The Rikita is, you would know that it is actually a predator of some kind.
Yeah, I would assume that. What do I know about this thing? The Rikita?
The Rikita?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, based on your skills and the type of life that you've been living, they are natural predators, and they often hunt mostly in the dark woods, and occasionally venture beyond the dark woods, but you've never seen one this far south.
Yeah, this seems pretty far, and it's like broad daylight. My other question was, what do we know about the darkening? Just that it exists? Do we know any? Actually, I think that actually might be directed towards Velfa. Like once Alua pulls her up onto the rock, and probably like when we hear the rustling is when Toll kind of turns to her and says, all the Lance Riders have the darkening. What do you know about it?
Well, she kind of like has like a book that she's been writing in, and she kind of flips through things. I mean, we don't really have a lot of information on it, but animals like this, they've been just kind of going wild and angry and vicious, and I don't really have a lot of information. That's kind of why I'm here.
Should we kill them?
I don't know.
I mean, it looks like nature is attempting to take its course, but the fact that that's out here isn't a good sign either.
A second Rikita bolts past you.
Oh.
Did they look like they have purple eyes?
Do you want to give me a roll?
I do want to give you a roll.
I'd like to assist on that roll.
Thank you. What is the difficulty?
Difficulty 3.
Difficulty 3 with an assist. I rolled 12, which is exactly what I need. Great.
No.
No
Neither of
purple
these.
eyes. Okay.
No purple eyes so far. The Rikita both don't have purple eyes so far.
Does this mean if they eat the thing that's with the stuff, it'll turn bad? She tries to English as she looks at Velfa.
Toll just kind of nods and looks at Velfa
too. Velfa's like, and she's so flustered with what's happening right now. She's trying to like think, well, it would probably not be advisable for them to eat the creatures. That might spread it. We don't really have a lot of information on it yet. Because it's only been like a year, and I feel like the amount of like research that they could have done on it
It's not huge.
in reality, yeah, like they
Pretty
just
minimal.
wouldn't know a lot.
Yeah.
Everybody, yeah. So everybody who has had direct experience with the darkening would have, in some way been sharing the same basic information. And the only person that's actually has more than that has disappeared. So.
What are you suggesting doing? Like, do you want to try to kill the landsliders? I mean, the creatures might sleep them, and if landsliders aren't there anymore, they might come after us.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean they're not gonna eat them if they die anyway. You got the crossbow told. This is up to you, man. I
like
just...
Ruth and Neb are also probably like,
Yeah, right? Just losing their shit.
It seems
It's funny even Velva's like.
No, so here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Fizzgigs. They're actually strangely silent and hiding, like tucked into your necks. And the podling, all he's doing is holding on to Alua tightly and just hiding, like if he doesn't want to be seen.
Have you seen this before? She's gonna kind of look around her shoulder a little bit.
And you hear, no, Hess, run.
Uh-oh.
I think we should listen to our friend.
Just grabs her head and shakes it.
Man, what Toll wants to do is run the direction these things came from. He wants to know, like that's like the fact that there are these Rakitas down this far south is not normal to their hunting patterns, and he wants to know why they're here. There has to be something driving them that way. But with all of you not equipped for that journey, at least in his eyes, he kind of like looks and he hears.
You have to go by yourself.
Yeah, he looks to Knock, saying we should run, and he just kind of like sighs, looks at the rest of the group, and yeah, we need to get to the Podling village.
I would agree.
Yeah, I could try to do stuff, but she pulls her pole to her front. Too many other friends. She looks at Toll and shrugs.
Yeah.
Like, I'd help you, but this seems like they need my protecting more.
Are they still running? The Landstriders, are they still running, Johnny?
The Landstriders are still running, but the Rakita are starting to catch up. And you start to hear like the growling noises as one is actually able to catch one of the Landstriders and jumps up. And like as you're kind of looking over, it jumps and grabs onto the leg of one of the Striders as it collapses, as the second one actually catches up and starts to jump on and begin to kind of like attack and start to to terrorize and kill this thing.
Yep, don't want to be dinner. Let's go.
I have a weird question. How
Oh, no.
how quickly do Rakitas eat?
They are, based on your experience, a creature who will consume its prey, depending upon the size, very quickly to over a course of a couple of days. Based on what you know about Landstrider's physiology and the amount of like possible meat on there, it's going to be a pretty quick meal because it's really the legs are long and sinewy, and there's very little like meat to the muscle there. So all of that is based on its actually body structure at the top, and there's not an incredible amount of meat there. These beasts are definitely designed to be very fast and live.
Okay, I am going to, as I assume like everyone's trying to like get down from the rock. I like lift the crossbow and I aim at the next in line, basically Landstrider. And whoever's the last person on the rock would probably hear Toll start to hum. And I'm going to fire at this Landstrider to see if I can not even just to bring it down, but even just to like slow it down, like make it the weakest one of the herd. That way it doesn't get far. That way they have two to eat, so we can get away.
So they have 2D instead of Alua probably hop down first, and then help Vilfa, and then Knock, whichever order you guys would go in. So whichever one of you are humming.
Okay, so you're trying to actually attempt to basically take out the slower one
Yeah,
right,
so
at a
one went
distance.
down. I'm trying to get the next one in line.
All right, I have 2 questions for you,
Continuous.
and then we're going to figure out how to make this actual roll work.
Sure.
First is, what is Toll's skill, not only in hunting, but hunting in extreme situations? Because this is considered, this would be considered an extreme situation because not only is there a distance, but it's also an incredibly fast-moving creature who is under duress.
I don't know that, like, I mean, he's like a regular hunter, right? So, like, tracking and stalking. Like, so think, like, if there were a Gelfling equivalent to the hunter Skeksis, right? So, like, I don't think he's, like, in extreme duress. That's not his jam. But he's practiced with weapons. So, like, he knows to, like, center, breathe, fire. It just might be the distance and speed might, make it more difficult for him.
All right. Talk to me about the type of crossbow that you're using. Is it the kind that's designed for distance, or is it the kind for is it like a quick reload kind of a thing?
It's definitely not a quick reload kind of thing. It's definitely like a one bolt, like crank it up kind of thing. The crossbow is not what he hunts with. It's what he makes the things that hunt him go away with. Right. It's how he keeps out of trouble or keeps other monsters away from his prey. He's kind of an up close and personal guy. All right. Yeah.
Difficulty on this is a level 5.
Okay, level 5. I'm going to use my light crossbow, and I'm going to use the ability Control the Field. So, level 5. Do I have any bonuses that can help me with this? I do not. Okay, cool. So, I am going to shoot a level 5 challenge. Pew! Fail. Okay, that's fine. So the shot goes wide, but I have an ability, Johnny, that is called Control the Field. Oh, never mind. That only works for melee attacks. I didn't use that because that wasn't a melee attack. The shot goes wide.
Tell me about this Control the Field real quick.
It's a melee attack that lets me maneuver monsters into position. So I feel like that couldn't work.
You rolled a 5. Yeah, there's not even a remote way where you could I
rolled so bad. So bad.
I'm really glad that you didn't fail completely because the GM intrusion was going to be really, really bad.
I mean, you can still make one. You just got to give me XP for it.
Well, I plan to do that very soon because, at this particular point, there's not a failure that's going on for this.
Sure.
So as the 4 of you are kind of getting down and kind of stepping in, to back onto the ground, you can hear the Rakita, the Rakita, excuse me. They're pronounced, spelled. Let's see, where is it? It is Rakkida, the Rakita. You can hear them sort of growling and sort of eating on this particular thing, as one of them then takes to a howl, and continues the pursuit as the other one is starting to sort of eat. So the 4 of you are with the podling, and the 2 Fizzgigs are back on the path now, and the podling's like, go, and pointing farther down.
Toll takes up the rear.
I'm gonna take up the front. I'm still in my head. I still have the podling on the front, just letting him point the way.
Yeah, I think Knock is up with Aughra.
Yeah, both are just doing the best she can.
She's in the middle. She's just trying.
Just like a backpack full of books.
Yeah. The occasional quill, drops.
Yeah. And just hear, please get that for me. No.
All right. So the 4 of you are kind of making your way, sort of like in a line heading down the path.
Yes.
Okay. So as you begin to do that, you hear something clumping, and you can't react at all in time for it before it actually comes and starts to run right into you. This is the GM intrusion. A baby Rakita, a cub basically, kind of bowls right into you and sends you kind of rolling and tumbling. Now this can happen. You can take the GM intrusion, and then you can take an XP and give an XP away, or you can do something else to avoid this.
I don't have any XP to avoid this, so I take it. So
All right.
I get bowled into by a baby Rakita.
You get bowled into, this thing is about the size of a podling, but looking just as ferocious. And you, as you kind of bowled into and just kind of rolling with it a little bit, it's sort of like just, kind of tumbling with you, and then just kind of like lays, flat 10 feet from you in the distance, in this sort of field around you. But as you're just kind of gaining your senses and kind of looking around, the three of you, as you're kind of, looking back and seeing what happened to Toll, you can see this thing beginning to get on its feet. And it's just like it hops up and it's kind of looking at you and just kind of backing away a little bit, and then kind of looking at you and then kind of backing away a little bit and trying to figure you out, kind of sniffing, kind of looking at you.
What are the other ones doing? That's what I look to first.
You can barely see over the grass that the first one has started to run after the rest of the Landstriders. The second one is still eating and consuming on that first Landstrider that it put down, and it is not paying attention either. There's neither of them are paying attention to your direction. But this third one is kind of like juking a little bit and kind of looking around and just kind of assessing the situation.
You know what? I'm also going to assess the situation. Is this thing like it's a pup, right?
It's a cub, yeah.
Is this thing playing or trying to maul me?
Okay, all of your hunter instincts are like, this thing is going to either attack or it's going to call for help.
Cool. Okay. You gotta go. I'm sorry, baby saber-toothed monster. Yeah, I'm going to, I assume in the fall I dropped the crossbow, so I'm just going to pull out. He has, the standard Castle Guard issue cutlass. I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to use that to stab this guy.
Do a stab.
And do a stab.
At this point, I think it's time for some combat.
Okay, cool. So, what's the difficulty on stabbing this stupid saber-toothed monster?
It's a cub, so it's definitely smaller.
Yeah.
But it's also still a little disoriented as it's kind of assessing the situation. It's not immediately run away. It's also not used to anything just sort of standing its ground, so it's going to be a difficulty 3.
Okay, so I'm going to do difficulty 3 here. I am going to use my ability Thrust, which deals 1 extra point of damage. I'm going to spend no effort, no asset, no effort to damage. That is a success. It takes 5 points of damage.
So talk to me about the type of either lunge or how do you catch this thing off guard and just go boom?
Yeah, so I'm trained as a castle guard despite not having used those fighting abilities for a while. So I'm more trained for this kind of combat than person to person combat. Sure. And so I think that's what it is. I'm matching its movement, and when it moves, I sort of just lunge forward and jab in between the shoulder, the foreleg shoulder of this thing to try to at a minimum slow it down by getting it in between its shoulder meat, and sort of catch it that way, and that's how it takes a good bit of damage because there's no bone there. It just sort of cleaves into muscle.
Okay, so I have a question for you, and I just realized we didn't actually get an answer to the other question that's about to come up for this. You got 1 XP. Did you give the XP to anybody else?
Oh yeah, the XP goes to Alua. So, Alua, you have a free XP. And just as a reminder to everybody, XP can be used to either stop a GM intrusion or to re-roll, or in some cases to make up some bullshit and say, Johnny, can I spend an XP to do this nonsense?
Or to level up.
Where do I?
Or to level up eventually, yeah.
Or does it matter?
Top left of your character sheet.
Who needs to level up? Seriously, who needs to level up? Nobody needs.
We hit the corruption bar a second time.
Woo!
Oh, God.
Nice.
Yay! Thank you.
So I dodge inward and I kind of stab it, like I said, right in here in the pocket, and deal 5.
As you kind of stab in, so let's have a quick conversation, real quick, about something before anything else happens.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what the corruption bar actually does. Okay. It's an uninterruptible GM intrusion, is my understanding.
It's worse than that. It's you just ultimately you do whatever the hell you want to us. So twice you get 2 of those.
All right, so this is an uninterruptible GM intrusion because otherwise I was just going to give you a GM intrusion, and I'm going to give you the XP for it anyways.
Cool. Dope.
But you can't spend any XP to interrupt this little bad boy.
Dope.
So as your blade kind of goes in, you hear the thing just kind of go, Rah! Like it calls out.
Dope.
And as it just like has its death throes and then just goes limp. And as it goes limp, you hear the calls from the two Rakitas that were chasing the Land Striders as they kind of call up, and this is these more deep sort of guttural, like, and then you hear a separate call from the direction that they came of another one.
Cool. My new character's a podling, just so you know.
Yeah. And you, as you
Are
kind
you
of
on
like
my back right now?
you kind of step up and kind of look around, and you realize they're headed your direction.
And the
That's
other one,
corruption number one.
the first two are close. The other
first
one
two
is...
are relative. Yes, the first two are relative. Well, so there's only the one that's really close, which is the one that was still consuming on the Land Strider. The second one is much farther out and turning around and making its way back. The third one is at an undeterminable distance over that like gentle hill that you all were peering over, where you saw the Land Strider kind of chasing towards you guys.
Dope. Toll looks back behind him because I assume everyone kept running when he got tackled because he wasn't very loud about it. He turns back and sees down the path and just shouts at this point, "Run!"
Don't we need to roll initiative?
Yes.
Do you really want to roll initiative, or do you just want to run the hell out? It's up to you.
I'm not leaving my friend.
Oh, okay.
Great, he's on your shoulder. Just keep him forever. This is a little fizz cake. Yeah, that's what Toll does. Toll shouts, "Run!" And then he turns back around and reaches for the crossbows on the ground.
You fools!
Yeah.
Velfa's gonna look at the two that are staying and then look past the Toll, and she's gonna follow what they're probably gonna do because she's not gonna just book it alone.
I am not gonna run.
Nerd pun intended. Book it. Do we want to roll initiative?
All right. Yes, please do it all.
Do it. Initiative. For you, Velfa, Kitty, do you have in the skills on the right left hand side? Mm-hmm. Does it say ST next to your initiative?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You're fine.
What's the difficulty?
The difficulty is 3.
Okay. I succeed.
Woo!
Barely.
Shut up.
Oh shoot! I need to roll this too. I'm an idiot.
Sorry, Velfa.
Do I need to roll this one?
Are you staying around or are you running?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you need to roll regardless of whether you're
What was the difficulty?
3.
I don't like this. I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
You all are in danger. It's not like, yeah, you're good, you're fine,
Did
whatever.
mine pop up properly?
It did.
Did.
Yep.
Okay.
You got a 15
We all go before the monster except for
for
Velfa.
Velfa.
God damn it.
I mean, if anyone was to go after the monster, that's probably the...
Oh crap! Forgot to make character sheets for Nev and Ruth. I also need to make one for Tog now.
God damn it.
All right,
These
so
gigs don't need character
You're going to be
sheets.
the podling upon my shoulders.
Yeah.
all right, so it looks like Alua goes first. Or actually, you know what? There's no order. That's right. And you guys, if you go before, it's anybody before, right?
Yeah. In fact, I mean, if it makes sense narratively, since they're running back, I'll act right now since I'm ready to act.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it. Right.
It would be him first, Velfa knock me if we're coming back to him. Honestly.
Yeah, except Velfa's not going to make a move until after the creatures get to make their.
Velfa's probably quite a bit slower, so she's probably like coming up behind everyone.
That works.
I can go whenever.
I just pictured you as the trash lady in the labyrinth. That's what I just pictured you as, with all the books and just like flower pots and like fizzgig food and posters.
That's what she's gonna look like towards the end.
Yeah.
Assuming this isn't the end.
Yeah, so I think hearing this and seeing the other two that are closer turn towards us, Toll like tumbles, grabs the crossbow, and then immediately starts to like crank it, and knocks a bolt and fires at the two that are running towards him, the two that we're eating.
Okay, so they're not like in a line. They're at a distance. So you take a shot at one. Which
Yeah,
one do you
yeah,
want
yeah,
to take a
yeah.
shot? One is probably what I would consider about like medium range distance from you, and the other one is like extremely long distance range from you.
So yeah, the closer one. Then I'll take a shot at that one.
All right, it's barreling towards you to level 3 difficulty. Yes, level 3.
Okay. I succeed. It takes 4 points of damage. And so,
Alright.
so I basically like tumble. You hear the of it like spinning up, and I drop the bolt and just fire it through like the tall grass. I imagine, and then he stands back up. He drops that and stands back up and has to cut this out again.
All right, so as it's sort of like barreling towards you, the arrow just kind of like nails it in the shoulder, and it's like its like leg starts to go limp a little bit, and it just starts to like kind of like move, lean sort of to the left, like veer towards the left for a little while, as it just is like trying to shake it off, but it's moving a lot slower, but it's still kind of moving towards you, as you can see that its left arm, or this left like front leg, is really damaged.
Okay.
It's starting to bleed pretty bad.
Great.
This thing is going to die eventually. It's just, it's not going to die immediately, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I think in all Aragorn dramatics, he looks back and sees that no one's running, and he just shouts in general at everyone, "What are you doing? Run!" And that's all I had to.
Who goes next?
You want to go next, Ella, or should I go next?
I'm gonna let Knock go first.
Okay. What Knock would like to do is start playing his horn and start creating a web of spell song. And like what he wants to do is like, how there are those moments where like in the show where like a gelfling will do something and like, we kind of see like all of Thra waking up around them. And like releasing lights and like kind of like playing back. I think that's what we get with Knock. And the goal here is he essentially just wants to like captivate and confuse these creatures. He knows that their blood is up enough and they're invested enough in the hunt that they're not going to be able to be completely calmed. But he can use the innate defenses that Thra has and the innate distraction of the land to add chaos and to confuse these creatures and make them frustrated and unable to respond properly.
Okay. Are you focusing on a particular one of these Rakitas, or are you focusing on all 3 that you're aware of?
I'm just trying to focus on like creating this landscape effect is kind of how I'm imagining.
No,
right?
What I'm trying to figure out is if it's localized or if it's large scale is the kind of thing that I'm trying to figure out.
I mean, presumably it would be, like more like the area surrounding Knock, because it's just like the range of his music more or less.
Okay.
But the goal is to affect as many of them as possible, for sure.
All right, let's make this a level 4 difficulty for whatever you're rolling.
Cool. I'm thinking Magic of Thra, Music of Thra, or Magic Training.
Music of Thra works. Because that's tapping into the same nature that you've been tapping into before for like all of the sort of like elements of.
I'm just pulling some bard shit right now. It's basically
He's trying to bard.
Let's see it.
I'm here for it, honestly.
Oh, that's not good.
You have a experience point.
You do have an experience point that you could spend to re-roll.
I like leveling up though.
Wow.
Because I only need 4 to level up, right?
Well, you need 16 to level up. You need 4 to level up one section of the level up.
To go up to tier 2.
You need 16 to go to tier 2.
What?
Yeah.
That's so many.
You need 4 to unlock the different things to get to tier 2, but you got to unlock 4 of them to get to tier 2.
Well, I could still save up for 4 at least. No, I'll take the failure.
So on episode 11, you will be...
I'll take the failure. Look, fine. I'll spend the XP if you really want me to, but I would prefer not to.
Do whatever you like.
I got some advancements last time we played this game, so...
Yes.
So as you begin to kind of tune into this and do this, describe to me exactly what it is that Nock is going to do with his song. Like the way that he's like making this happen, and then we'll kind of narrate what happens next after that.
Yeah, I'm not sure like what more explanation you're looking for. Basically, the idea is like he's like playing to awaken Thra around him.
Right, but is it like a happy tune? What kind of a tune is it? Like
yeah. I think
it's
no, that's a great point. I think it's like one of the like sort of the, if we're imagining it as the backing track behind one of the movies or the TV episodes, it's one of those moments where you have that sort of rising kind of valiant sound to the music, but maybe a bit like definitely with some of the more like kind of, I'm trying to come up with, I know I'm not describing this well, but the kind of more mysterious themes underlying it, right? So it's kind of got that sort of rising action, but it's definitely sort of this air of mystery and air of mystical nature to it. Very clear that he's tapping into some sort of magic.
So lots of like high, like high octave strings and sort of like complicated rhythms. All right. So as that's kind of like, as you're just like hearing that and you're beginning to kind of tap in to create this sort of effect, there's this counterpoint, not dissonance, but there's this counterpoint that kind of comes in with low strings and a more sort of like basic sort of like guttural rhythm, just kind of clashes with you. And then you begin to hear the dissonance again. Just ever so slightly, but it's enough to kind of catch you off guard. And so as you're kind of doing this, I'm going to use a GM intrusion, and you're welcome to spend the XP, or you're welcome to take it and then spend it, give the other XP away. But as that's happening, the third Rakita sort of comes up, sort of like, and stops right behind you and kind of growls. And you kind of look around, and there it is, sort of standing, behind you. It has arrived. Now you can spend your XP and not accept this intrusion, or you can take it and give XP to somebody else.
I'll take it. I will give. Who got XP last time?
I think we all have 1 point.
Alua, Toll gave Alua last time, and I believe you gave Velfa the time previously.
All right, I'll give it to Toll.
Sweet. Cool. Johnny, did you say there was 1 for the corruption as well?
That was the one that was the first corruption, which is this encounter.
Right, you said there was XP for that, right?
Yes, there was XP for that encounter.
Then I will give my second XP for that to Velfa as well.
Okay.
Cool. So Velfa, you should have 2 XP. That's not my turn. I just got excited because there's so many giant saber-tooth monsters. I'm just gonna sit here quietly.
Which means Alua, it's now your turn.
After I see Nock's thing isn't really working, part of me wants to hand off the podling, part of me is just like, hold on, buddy, and she's gonna go in with her two-handed stick.
Oh god.
And attack the one that just kind of appeared behind Nock?
Yes.
Okay. That is going to be level 3 difficulty.
Looking at these critters, second thought. If I don't use my pole, I have an ability where I can punch, and it works as good as a tier 2 weapon, I think.
A medium weapon.
Oh yeah, it needs no weapon.
Or a medium weapon. Yeah.
I had that the last time we played this game. It's great.
That worked incredibly well last time for you. Let's be completely honest. That was inspiring.
It was awesome last time.
So based on how this animal looks and her survivally things, I really want to go for the fact that if I like hit it in the nose, that it would at least stun it or disorient it quite a bit. So I think I'm gonna hold the pole back in one hand and try to Superman punch it in the nose. It's my current plan. What difficulty would you like that?
Still going to be difficulty 3.
Okay. Yes.
Ooh.
Wow.
So, while Johnny's done, for rules things, on a 19 you get a minor effect, which is what Velfa used to lift up the podling. And on a 20 you get a major effect. So, like, you can legitimately make that stun a real thing now. So it can be stunned with that major effect, Cherry, if that's what you want it to be.
I'm down, because that's what I'm going for.
So you want to stun this thing? Talk to me about what that actually means. Do you want this thing to be so, like, do you want to knock this thing out stunned, or is this just like you catch this thing so good? Well, so with a major effect, it really is your call. You've got a lot of control in the narrative of this particular situation.
Yeah, I wanna go to knock it out because I'm in Olivia's head. Toll's still in trouble, so she wants to get to him as fast as she can. So anything she could do to eliminate a threat.
Right. Okay. So narrate us through the punch, and then I'll tell you how that looks from the other side.
All right. So she's gonna say, "Hold on, buddy." Pat his head. Pull her Poldo inside and just hit it to the ground.
Where do you hit it? Where do you hit it on its body?
Nose.
Right in the nose?
Right in the nose.
So as you kind of come in, there's this downward motion a little bit with your hits too. And this thing's like eyes are just like, its teeth are bare. It's like growling at you. You hit this thing and its eyes just go, and they close, and things just drops to the ground. And you can hear it breathing incredibly heavy, but it's just out.
Okay. And then I'm gonna turn to see how Toll's doing.
And as you turn, Toll, the one that was you wounded, is finally making its way towards you. As it's limping, but it's kind of getting there. It's moving fast again as it's kind of recovering, but you can see that there's blood sort of covering it. But as it's like barreling towards you, you see that its eyes are glowing purple.
Great. Where's the one behind it? Is that still?
It's still at a distance, at a long distance right now. It's making its way towards you.
Cool. Okay.
And so as you're watching this thing, it comes and jumps for you and starts to attack with like its claws out like this, just like doing like a raking motion. Yeah.
I am going to take it. So what? So defense 3?
Yes.
Cool. So I have training and might defense, difficulty 3, no effort, no assets. Succeed. I succeed on the defense and take.
All right. So as this thing is coming down, describe to me how you defend against it.
So I'm super ready for it, right? Like I dropped the thing, I have the cutlass out now, and I see it like launch for me, and I literally just put like one arm up so that like I get like underneath like its shoulders, and so like it doesn't have enough forward range like a T-Rex. So the claws actually can't come get me, and I'm kind of holding it up above my Gelfling frame as it's like standing up on its back legs. You know how you dance with a dog, but I'm underneath it. Same kind of thing, but far more aggressive.
You can feel that its claws are trying to like kind of like rent and grab at your flesh, but you've got it in such a way that it's just not doing that.
Sure.
And you can also hear that it's trying to like snap, but as it's doing all of that, you can feel blood sort of like dripping down from one of its claws, and just kind of like trickling on you, and you can also see a pool beginning to form below it. Great. It's definitely still really, really hurt. And then you hear the call of the third one that's still out there in the distance as it's getting closer and closer as we cut to Velfa, giving her a moment to do something.
All right, so I'm not sure exactly how this is all going to work out, but so Velfa is running on adrenaline. She's pumped. She's like, not today. All right, but all she has in her like everything.
I'm
is
so
her
terrified
backpack.
for this little bean.
So she has this big backpack that's like full of books, and I think that like she's carrying this thing around, so she's not just like a pansy in the wind. So I kind of want Velfa to like she swings her backpack off, and I want her to go to like she's gonna go try to help Toll. Could she take her backpack and like try to smash this thing with her bag and the weight of it off of Toll to try to like knock it down. Imagine it's full of books and heavy things and everything that she needs.
Hey, a backpack full of textbooks is one of the best weapons you can ever have, ever. Let's be completely honest.
And she's putting her whole force through it, so like her whole body kind of just like coming to knock this thing off of him. Because
of the way that Toll defended, and the wound of the animal and everything else, it's kind of prone and standing there. So it's going to be a difficulty 2 for you to be able to hit this thing.
Nice.
So would I just use might?
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know what the edge and stuff does either.
Do you have any edge in? Edge. All right, so if you wanted to do effort, it's an additional 2 to go to the next level.
So what you do is you can spend your pool as if you're getting attacked. You spend your pool and it reduces the difficulty that Johnny just said. So if you were to spend 2 points out of your might pool, it would go from a difficulty 2 to a difficulty 1, which means
Mike's got the explanation.
A much lower roll to succeed.
So because of I think she's scared and she's but she's pumping, so she's gonna throw everything she has at this.
Okay.
To try and save Toll. So that'll, and I still have some. So then did you go down to 1 then?
No, yeah. So we'll go down to difficulty 1.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
What does the roll to effort to roll do?
So that's what you just did. So put 1 in that.
Okay.
And it will actually do the roll for you.
Yeah.
And then if it asks you for effort to damage, put 0. You succeed.
Nice.
Get it.
Okay. Does anybody want to talk about what the damage for a backpack full of books is going to be?
Somehow her backpack is heavier than Aloa's, who has a fuck ton of tools in hers. So
probably just a light weapon, eh?
Probably, yeah.
I would say at a minimum a light weapon. Yeah. I mean, well, I guess that's the lowest you can go. So yeah, at a minimum.
I'd go light weapon.
All right, so Velvet, you smack this thing, and you do so well with it. Like you hit this thing, and it hits it right in the area where the coral, the coral that Toll had shot from this crossbow, just right in it, and it digs in even more as this thing screams bloody murder, and just kind of like tips over to the side for a second, and for a moment, it's kind of prone there, just like it's laying on its side, just kind of like wrenching in pain, as you can see that the bolt has just so like dug into it, and the bleeding is starting to increase, significantly, as you hear the other one sort of call into the distance, and we're back to the top of the initiative. So Toll, you've got an opportunity here if you want to take this thing down.
I think there's just like a moment where it gets slammed off of him by, of all things, a backpack, by, of all people, Velfa. And as it like slumps to the side and is like yipping and howling, he just like looks and like just kind of stares like mouth agape at this proud tiny superhero, and he's just like, I said to run. And then he picks up the crossbow and like kneels kind of and like winds it up again, and I'm gonna fire at the far one, or the further one rather.
Okay.
So
difficulty is 3.
Okay.
Because it's real close now.
Difficulty 3. Kapow! Failure. I missed. I'm so enamored by what Velva just did. I'm so confused, really. Less enamored and more confused as to what's happening around me right now. What?
How did she protect me? What the fuck?
What dark crystalline twilight zone have I fallen into? And the shot goes very wide.
I was afraid for just a second there that you said dark crystal and twilight in the same sentence, and that you were going for some really odd, weird kind of like.
I mean, we can go there. Dark crystalline, twilight zone.
Anyways, the bolt flies.
You're welcome.
The bolt flies past the Rakita as it continues barreling forward and is getting incredibly close. All right, who's up next? You got Alua or Knock?
I believe maybe Knock at this point.
Alrighty, so this thing is like right coming up on me, right?
Yep.
I would like to use some spell work. I have hedge magic, which lets me perform small tricks, temporary change in colors or basic appearance of small object, cause small objects to float through the air. clean a small area, blah, blah, blah. I would like to create a flash of light in this thing's eyes to try to blind it.
In the one that's barreling towards you?
Yeah.
Or barreling towards the three of you? Or the four of you? Sorry.
Well, I thought one just snuck up behind me.
And then
Well,
Alua knocked it out.
Falcon punch.
I thought that she knocked out the first. I was totally
No,
misunderstanding.
I protect your ass, boy.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, then I'll try to blind the one charging at us.
All right. Difficulty 3.
Alrighty. Oh, wait, hold on. How does this work? Because this costs me points.
How many points does it cost you?
It costs 1 point.
How
so
much
do I
edge do
roll
you
anything?
have? How much edge do you have in intelligence?
1.
Then you
And it doesn't cost anything.
doesn't cost anything.
So I just do it.
Yep.
Yep.
Is there a roll involved?
Yes, difficulty 3 for the monster.
Okay,
That is
so
correct.
what do I roll?
Intelligence.
Oh, just straight intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, so the spell costs 1, and it happens, and boop, there you go.
The fuck?
It's the power of McCloakin.
So what's the major effect?
Did you say Power of McLoken or McCloakin?
I said it's the power of McCloakin.
both?
Yeah, so like I get a major effect. Dang. Okay, I can't do damage here, so I gotta just do an effect. So I think, if possible, what's gonna happen is Nock plays like this like trill on his horn, and like I think one of those plants that normally releases those like little like glowing spores like almost like belches out in response and just like just releases this giant just like ball of exploding phosphorus light or phosphorescent rather and I think because like this thing is so like shocked and blinded, it like weaves and tries to like instinctually get out of the way and ends up like careening and crashing, so it like gets stuck between some like log and a tree, or like between like two parts of a growing tree, something like that. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's just like it kind of veers off and just starts, and you see exactly what you just talked about. There's a couple of stumps or whatever, and like a log that's kind of, and it just barrels through, and it's moving too fast, and it like its vision clears at the last second, and it tries to make a jump and can't, and just kind of gets like slides into this log and gets sort of stuck with one of its legs, and you can hear it's like gnawing, like gnashing its teeth and just kind of like screaming very loudly as it's just like and it's just it's trying to get its way out.
Yes.
And it's Alua's turn.
Okay. How's the one doing that was attacking Toll? Is it
It's prone on the ground right now, trying to recover from Velfa's backpack attack.
I just like the words backpack attack. I'm gonna try to move quickly and hit it with my pole, like swat it in the face
Okay.
while it's down to keep it down.
All right, that
Possibly
sounds good.
do a little bit of damage.
Okay. It's definitely it's going to be so that one it's definitely going to be difficulty. It's going to be difficulty 2 because it's prone.
And I should use my quarterstaff to roll correctly. Correct?
It's
Yep.
Sure, that works.
Or punches, whatever one. I think it's the same damage.
I think
I'm gonna punch this 10. I'm just gonna whack.
Hits 4 damage.
all right. So you take this thing and as you bring your quarterstaff down on it, it just again takes too big of a beating and it just starts to bleed from like it's on its head where you've hit it, and it's out, it's gone, it's down, you're pretty sure it's dead. As you can see that it's kind of like it's one of his eyes are still open, and you can see sort of the darkening corruption that's there just beginning to slowly fade from it, as you can still hear the gnashing and sort of the clawing of this thing trying to get out from behind you. And so now it's that thing's turn, and as that thing is there, you can see that it's trying to sort of claw its way out and kind of rock its rate in such a way to try to get loose from it, and it's just like it's clawing and kind of like making this thing happen. And so for its action or its turn, it basically is working really hard to kind of extract itself, and it does so. But it's like it's taken so much effort out of it. It's just like it's panting there for just a second, giving Velfa an opportunity to do something.
Oh God. Okay, so now that her backpack is off, she did have that stick that was given to her by Alua, and that was kind of tucked between her and the backpack. So she's flung the backpack, smacked it, and I think as she did that and it's down, she's gonna grab the stick and go to just like try and just like smack it.
Like she's gonna try to do an
but
her version.
Yeah, she's like has nothing else for her to going, but she's kind of pumping on adrenaline, and she's just like, ah!
Just like.
The best part is it's just a stick. Like, we just picked it up off the ground. So it's just like a knobbly tree branch.
I'm just gonna look at Toll and go, good enough for me.
Jesus Christ.
So Carrie's might stand on this, I guess, because she doesn't have...
So this thing is going to be difficulty 3 for you to hit it.
Oh my goodness. The fucking stick.
You got it.
I hope she kills it. I'm not gonna lie.
I hope you get a 20.
You succeed with the stick. Is it 2 damage? Yeah, 2 damage with the stick.
2 damage.
Jesus Christ.
So you describe to me as you kind of like see this thing, and it's like it's stunned right at this moment, Velfa.
Uh-huh.
And
We all are.
What does it look like when you whack this thing with the stick?
So it's almost like a cartoony kind of moment. She comes up and she just starts smacking it. Not my friend, and hitting it, and the thing is just like, but it kind of.
It kind of like responds. It goes, and you see like you're hitting it on its like it's rear, and so it's just like it's slowly starting to kind of turn and make its way, kind of looking around at you as we get back to the top of the initiative.
I don't know what's happening anymore. Toll is watching Velfa just whack this thing with a stick like an old lady hits a cat with a broom to get it out of the house. And I think Nock and Alua would just see him just shaking his head as he just walks forward to this like stuck monstrosity, and I'm just gonna slowly stab the thing. So I'll give you a difficulty 3.
It's a difficulty 3, so
cutlass difficulty 3, and I'm gonna use thrust as well. Wow! I fail. I'm gonna spend an XP for shits and giggles here. We gotta nip this.
Murder this helpless.
We gotta nip this helpless boy in the bud.
okay.
Doop. Jeepers crow. Okay, I'm not meant to hit this thing.
All right, so Velfa is like whacking this thing with the stick, right? And it's just it's reacting, and it keeps yelping.
I can't get in, or I'm gonna get hit by the stick, and I can't. That's what's happening.
Right. You can't get close enough to be able to attack it without either getting attacked by the Rakita or by Velfa.
Yeah.
And so you're just like you're juking around trying to figure it out. You're jumping back, you're moving in, you're kind of moving out. Nothing seems to be working while Velfa is just keep pounding this thing with that stick, giving Nock and Alua an opportunity to do something.
I would like to. Well, I don't know. I think Nock is just going to be like, maybe we should just go now that it is stuck.
I don't think it's stuck anymore.
It's not stuck anymore. It took its turn to actually get itself unstuck.
I think it's just being beat down by Velfa.
Oh, I thought that's how Velfa was able to beat it down.
She just walked up to it and started hitting it with a switch.
All right, then I'm just going to stab it with my knife. Yeah, so like Nock just like, stops playing his horn and charges at it with a knife.
All right, difficulty 3. Actually, you know what? Yeah, difficulty 3.
All right. It's might, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Might makes right.
With a knife, it's a dagger, right? You have a free asset to that.
Yay. Oh yeah, because it's a light weapon.
Yeah. Fuck you, Sam.
Stabby.
The minor with a minor effect, or
Minor
plus
effect
3
or damage.
or plus 3 damage.
Unless I already kill it, I will do plus 3 damage.
I think it's only taken 2.
No,
It only
you
takes
don't.
2, so I'll make it 5.
Well, I hit it 2, didn't I? Yeah, so
You
4.
don't. Well, you don't
Yes.
take it down yet, but it's pretty bad and bloody at this particular point. Describe to me where you actually kind of like attack this thing and like dig in deep.
I'm gonna try to like jump on top of it and like stab it.
Are you channeling your previous character in this system?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
No, I think it's like one of those moments. You know how a lot of times in the Dark Crystal, when the puppets are fighting, there'll be moments where they just kind of like sail through the air, and then like one is on top of the other, like bashing it. That's
Right.
definitely like what we see with Nock here.
Okay, so you kind of like
They're puppets?
you kind of stab in and you get it in the, like in the shoulders, and it starts to collapse a little bit under the repeated like attack of Velfa and your blade. It's like this thing collapses and it's trying to just like kind of like push you off. But Alua, it seems like this thing is starting to really kind of go down, giving you an opportunity to take one last step and potentially just kill this thing.
Oh God, part of me doesn't want to kill it. Part of me wants to go over to Toll and go, oh, look at our babies. They're growing up so fast.
Please do that. Please do that. I have something perfect that's going to happen.
Honestly, because I think, they're eventually gonna kill it with what they're doing. So I'm gonna go pick up Toll, make sure he's okay. And go, aw, they're growing up so fast.
I just feel like there's that weird camera thing where you just see one where it's Velpa's like, not my friends, and then you see Nock on top of like, die, monster, die,
and their dogs are just barking along and trying to help, but they're not helping. They're just loud.
Yeah. The camera pans to Alua and Toll, where we're both like,
Alua just taps him on the back like, proud mom, proud dad.
What's happening right now?
They're learning. They know how to survive a little bit better. Toll, aren't you proud of them?
I don't know.
It'll be dead soon.
I don't know.
All right. So here comes the second corruption.
Oh, great.
Because it's this thing's turn.
Yep.
All right. You've got Velfa who's slapping it, with a stick on the back, and you've got Nock just kind of like stabbing at this thing, and this thing is like, having trouble kind of doing its, thing and trying to stand up straight. Well, it then decides to just drop and rolls over Nock, moving away from Velfa, gets back up on its feet, pounces onto Nock, growling at this, growling down at him. And as you look up, Nock, you see this thing has purple eyes. Like it's got the darkening going on. And as it does that, it drops down and bites at you. And that's where we're going to end it.
Oh. So before we forget, who was that XP for? One for Nock, and then one for who?
One for Nock, and then whoever else.
I thought that was free because of the corruption.
Well, so I'm still giving, even though it's a corruption, it's an uninterruptible GM intrusion is what we're going to treat it as. But you're still going to get the XP for it.
Gotcha. Cool.
Well, that's how that's how you're going to earn a lot of XP.
Yeah, I will give one to Velva.
Yeah. Well, that just happened, I guess.
That's not where I wanted to end it, but awesome. That was fucking awesome.
What a weird turn of events that combat became. Yeah, right? This has been another episode of Age of Darkness. We'll be here for the next few weeks doing this. To some degree. So let's go around, do our introductions. We'll get the hell out of here. But first, thank you so much for those follows. Thank you guys so much for all the love. Thank you so much for hitting that corruption bar not once, but twice, and helping us pay this wonderful, amusing, and amazing cast here. So let's start with, I think, arguably the star of the show today. We'll start with Kitty. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Hi, I'm Awkward Kitty Inc. I am a freelance artist and a streamer here on Twitch. You can find me everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at Awkward Kitty Inc. feel free to check me out. I do lots of art and role play and have a general good time.
That's true. Rumor has it there's new emotes coming to the channel.
Yeah,
Shh, don't
and a
tell.
really cute zombie. Come on, let's.
Nice.
Right?
Is it a fizz gig zombie?
It's not, and there's not going to be one. I mean, if you want
I
to,
don't know. That seems like
if
I
you
will pay
want to
for
pay
that.
Kitty
I
to
will
make me
pay
an
Kitty
emote,
specifically for a zombie, an unMadeGaming fizz gig, but you have to use it if I pay for it.
done.
Kitty, let's talk.
Jesus Christ. Sam, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I am Sam. Twitter /TheWizenFool, Twitch.tv/WizenFool. You can find me here for the next couple weeks, mostly just here. I'm moving and then traveling, so I'm going to kind of disappear for a little while. I'm going to go to the land of Utah to do snowboarding and get out into the wilderness, and it's going to be wonderful. But I will be back here next week and the following between those two little excursions. So
Hell yeah. Cool. I think with that, we'll jump over to Cherry. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Chiba Bum. Mostly just playing random games and tarot. Hopefully I will be back to that tomorrow. I'm also going to be moving, but luckily I don't lose one place while I'm moving to the other, so
Nice.
won't miss too much of me. Me and my helpless little podling are now bonded.
Oh God. Why is it? We're a traveling menagerie. And
You get a pet next week, Toll, all
I
right?
don't want it. I don't want it.
Mine's
you
at
do.
least
Yeah, you
kind of
do.
helpful eventually, maybe.
And last but not least, the ringleader of this menagerie, Johnny. Who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm incredibly busy writing for this particular show and writing for another little show that we start recording this weekend, I think.
Tuesday.
So there's lots of things going on. You can find me everywhere as Video Store Cowboy, except for Twitter, where it's like 15 characters and socks, so it's Vid Store Cowboy. But that's it. That's me.
Hell yeah. Speaking of what Johnny's writing for, guys, please go check out Dark Fortunes Pod on Twitter. That is a new podcast we are launching. It is a D&D 5e pirate-themed podcast set in the Humblewood setting. So we are playing adorable woodland creatures that are dark and piratey, because who likes dichotomy? We do. Great. So let's combine those two unlike things, and let's do some pirate shenanigans, and watch me sing a she shanty? A sea shanty.
A she shanty?
That's how I
She
sing the
She
whole time. I
shanty.
don't know how this happens. Oh my God. We're done here. Goodbye. Bye-bye.